Thousands.
All right, welcome everybody.
If you're watching this later in the future,
Those of you in the future, this is Justin from Sense by Skanda. I'm Mr. Sniff. That's Mrs. Sniff, in case you didn't know. And we will just wait for some folks to join us. We're doing a live with Justin this evening. Folks are invited. It'll be a party. I have my...
Can you tell everybody on the Discord?
I mentioned it earlier today, but I will go ahead and...
Ken's in. Hi, Ken.
Let them know we're live. Ken, what's going on?
Ken,
Hi,
we're
Ken.
live. Nicole, we're live on YouTube if you want to join and have a clearer picture. But we're doing this. Hi, Joseph. We're doing this fun thing where we film our camera or our computer because that does not help.
It doesn't work at all, does it?
Nope, sure doesn't.
Here we go.
We just moved the microphone right in front of my phone camera. Anyways, if you want to see a different, a clearer picture, go to YouTube.
Yeah, there's we're having this
And thank
issue
you for liking the live so more people can see it.
with Restream. I guess I did research, and apparently it's a known issue where it won't connect to TikTok. So we connect on the screen to YouTube and Insta, and then we just put it on.
It's our workaround for people who aren't on TikTok.
It's working.
Like, you're not on TikTok, are you?
No, I set up an account, but I don't.
Yeah, I've tagged you before, but I can tell you're not active.
Yeah.
There's only so many social media things that you could do, right?
Yeah, this is true. I've been encouraged by a few patrons to get on TikTok, and some of the younger perfumers. I understand it's quite the sort of venue, I guess. Let's say
it's a very casual venue.
Yeah.
Like that's the advantage is it's very casual, so it's not as you don't have to be as staged as you do for YouTube and Instagram, where everything's very aesthetic, and so you can just show up in your pajamas and do stuff,
Right.
When you will,
I probably won't do that. But.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah, I guess this is my first time on TikTok.
Otherwise, it's always a first time.
Otherwise, a TikTok version.
Everybody who's on TikTok right now, if you don't mind just liking and sharing the live around so that, hi Autumn, it shows up on people's For You page or however people get notified.
Tony's here, Cole's here, Michael's here. Welcome, guys.
All the Frag family. It's cool. Okay. Melly, you didn't miss anything. We just started, Melly. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Melly. Julie's here too?
And the bear and Kruthik.
All right, the whole family's here.
Kruthik says, Justin, your Majmua Rus Kus is goated.
Thank you.
Excellent. We are going to talk. There's no way we can talk about all this. I'm trying to put it so you can see it on camera.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Files of goodies.
That's okay. This is my Sense by Skanda playpen. But before we even dive into that, because you and I have just chatted fragrance briefly and philosophy briefly, but we haven't really, I haven't really had a chance to kind of get to know your story and your background. So the most important question of the night, I think, obviously, is what is a Skanda?
Yeah.
What is this Skanda? So Skanda or Skanda is actually Ganesh's brother.
Oh.
And also known as Kartikeya. So yeah, he's Ganesh's lesser known brother. But yeah, he's worshipped in many provinces in India, and he's one of Shiva and Parvati's sons. So that's where that comes from.
I feel like you're going to have to come visit and hang out and stay with us, Justin, at some point.
When I'll be there. I cook. So
sold.
I cook.
Sold. So we were chatting briefly when we were getting set up earlier. So he's a body worker.
Yeah.
He's been a personal trainer.
Oh my God, we're twins. We're triplets.
Yeah.
And been into bodybuilding, weightlifting. And now you have this in common with her. She for years did a deep dive into the Hindu mythology and archetypes and gods and goddesses. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So obviously that's not something that you just sort of like pull out of thin air. Is that an active practice for you, or something that you've just been casually interested in?
I'd say I've been somewhat of a seeker from a pretty early age, and there's definitely been some overlap with specifically, say, like the oud oils and sandalwood and various incenses in terms of my own meditation, spiritual practice, let's say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't necessarily come into it lightly or casually.
Right.
The name, let's say, but yeah, it's been a sort of a lifelong adult interest of mine, specifically Eastern religion and philosophy, yogic philosophy to Taoism. And, a lot of my inspiration, I guess, maybe sort of blossoms out of that.
Very cool.
Lovely.
Before we hit it off as perfume, what do we call ourselves? We're not influencers. Non-influencers.
Educators?
Educators?
I don't know.
Content creators? We had several unsuccessful false starts trying to teach and launch various channels doing...
I was pretty successful.
All right. I was unsuccessful. She's been successful.
I have another channel. It's all about
the inner wisdom
energy,
school,
archetypes, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't post on it very often.
Before perfume, that consumed our lives. Basically, psychology, spirituality,
symbolism, Jungian psychology, dream stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a big part of our lives. It's just not what people follow us for, and that's okay. So, where are you? Remind me.
I'm in the Berkshires, Western Massachusetts.
Oh, that's great.
And I know you're also a masshole, right?
I am.
Jamie?
Yeah. So I lived in Springfield for 13 years.
Oh, nice.
Or West Springfield. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like 45 minutes away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And every now and then I would go to Kripalu and do some practice and have an Ayurvedic treatment. And
I worked there for a few years.
Did you? I wonder if we randomly saw each other once. Wouldn't that be so funny?
Could have been. This was like 2005 to about 2009.
Yeah.
I could have checked you in.
that was around the time that I was visiting there. I would go every now and then for like a weekend. That's pretty expensive to stay there, but
it was.
Yeah.
It is.
It's such a nice place. Oh my God, I miss it. That's my last yoga home.
Hey, buddy.
Dream
journalist. Yeah, he's a great artist. Friend of mine was a customer. His name's Travis. Shout out to Travis.
Hi, Travis. Looks like we can't follow you from here, but we'll try to remember to follow you.
Yeah, he's on Instagram. He's got some beautiful artwork. I might have a piece or two lying around here. I might need to pull out. Travis he's inspired a few different things. Mainly with his artwork and his writing. But he had tried this. There was a perfume at the time, and it was like a chifra with hyrax, a little hyraceum.
Nice.
And patchouli, I think, and he really enjoyed it. And somewhere, I guess, it invoked a Macho Man, Randy Savage kind of vibe.
Somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Cheaper what? Civet?
No. There's
so basically, he did a review for the perfume, and I was inspired by his review, and I said, you know what, I have to do kind of a more Attar version of this creation.
It's very cool.
So this is called the wrestler Randy Savage Tribute Attar.
Yes.
What is contained in this magical vial that I love so much?
So I'm pretty sure there's a good hefty dose of bergamot, a vintage oud. I think it's maybe the Thai or the Cambodia vintage oud.
Okay.
Maybe some costus, hyoscyamus, sandalwood, and I think maybe a oak moss, maybe a cedar moss.
Okay.
A couple different mosses. So, yeah,
it's really lovely. This is one that I've really enjoyed wearing.
I was trying to go for something that was, a bit feral, but also kind of bright in only the way that Macho Man Randy Savage was.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did you ever watch that kind of stuff as a kid?
Not as a kid. Remember, I had my stint in the 90s.
Of wrestling?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
For like 4 years. I had a boyfriend who was really into wrestling, and so
yeah, who's your favorite wrestler?
Experience it was more like the D-Generation X era.
Oh yeah, DX, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, you guys have left me in the dust. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Triple H.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was earlier than that.
I liked the Edge. That was my favorite.
Yeah, the Edge. Yeah, he was hot, huh?
Yeah.
So most of your compositions, they feel like they're between, 3, 4, and maybe 10 different kinds of naturals. Is that accurate?
It's not accurate. There's some that might have less.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that might have
some that have even less than that.
Yeah, there are some that might have more.
Okay.
But yeah, I just sort of, I don't know, eschew the idea that like a fine fragrance has to have X amount of ingredients. I know a lot of people that are from that school.
Sure.
I mean, I've had there was a fragrance group that was put together by one perfumer at one point, and I was part of it. And I remember there were some younger perfumers in there, and one of them I think was very into the technical aspects and using a lot of ingredients. And when I said like, some of my favorite attars are like 3 ingredients, and it was like he sort of like laughed me, right out of the group. So yeah, some people have like an idea about what goes into it, and that if it's only a few ingredients, then it's like thrown together. Or I've sort of had people.
You're not really perfuming, that kind of a thing.
Think about how delicious pasta is. Pasta is just flour and egg or something like that, isn't it? It's so simple.
Yeah.
And delicious.
Well, I mean, that's when I
love this
I shared a post earlier promoting the live. That's one of the things I talked about that I find to be appealing about your work, right? And I've said this about other houses and in other situations. It's not everything needs to be a Chanel, right? Like we've got Chanel for that. I love that there's work like this out there. And I love also, and this is probably why I made that assumption. I just love the naming convention, right? Like this is coffee sandal oud. Like that's the name. That's the name of the perfume. And this one, which I am deeply in love with, Rose Amber Oud Incense.
Yeah. I mean, some things I just keep it simple. And there have been times where I've had a simple, just name the ingredients. And that's not like a marketing thing. It's just like basically telling people what it is so they don't have to guess in some cases. But yeah, in other cases like the Savage thing or whatever, I was inspired to give it a name. Or I've even had some customers have given me names of things like specifically the frankincense myrrh oud blend, which is the I just call it unfettered soul, but
Okay, that might be one
the
of the
custom,
smaller samples I've got.
You open that?
yeah, the customer that had gotten it before, I just had named it frankincense myrrh oud, and they came back to me and said it's like the temple for the unfettered soul. And I
Mm,
said, hey, I like that. Can I use it?
nice.
And they were cool with it. So I ran with that.
Yeah. So Travis is a fan of the Savage Atar. I am as well, and then Tony here is a fan of the Brooklyn Tribute Atar as well, which I am.
There's a
Which
couple of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
I've
I'd
got a
like to
part
talk
over
about
there.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, please do. So you in one of my orders you sent me a small sample of it, and then I came back around and bought a full one because it was one of my favorites that you've done that I've sampled. So yeah,
Nice.
what's the etymology going on here? What's the
Yeah, so
history?
the etymology. I brought this was one of my dad's pipes. My dad
Oh, nice.
he smoked cigarettes, Nat Sherman's, but also just pipe tobacco, and so did my grandfather. He collected pipes. So specifically the Brooklyn thing was inspired by my grandfather who was from Brooklyn, and he was a very dapper older gentleman, very distinguished. He was a jazz saxophone player
Cool.
and played in like big bands, and he just always dressed well and always smelled good. And I had these just very early sense impressions of him and him visiting me, and it was like he would come on the bus from New York and he'd come up to Massachusetts on the bus, and when he would get off the bus, he'd give me a big hug, and I just had this very distinct impression memory of him and embracing him and what he smelled like, and it was like musky vanilla tobacco kind of thing. So I that original Brooklyn tribute kind of started as almost like a journey and also into like my own imagination to like get back to recreating at least like aspects of that vibe that he had. And I then later sort of came to remember that he was pretty simple. He wore like different English leather
Mm-hmm.
things,
Mm-hmm.
but his tobacco had a very specific, unique vanilla sort of vibe to it. So
Yeah.
it's sort of a sweet vanilla oud, maybe a little bit of musk in there. And I've done at this point maybe like 5 or 6 iterations of that.
At least six, because mine are numbered number
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, and it's one of the things I love about it. It's masculine. Or one of the things I should say that really drew me to it. It's definitively masculine to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, but also it's masculine in that kind of old school, effortless way where I can imagine, yes, maybe he wore like an English leather aftershave and maybe some, something like in a beard or but it wasn't wearing Chanel Antaeus, right? It was sort of like the combination of things that were just a part of the daily masculine ritual, along with the pipe and the aromatic, brown leaf thing, and you just
Yeah.
develop a signature scent that isn't really off of the shelf, right? Um, which is something that
Exactly. Yeah. It was a
I
little,
always wanted to have.
he was definitely a bit more distinguished than say like a Brute or an Old Spice. He
Right.
might have wore Old Spice at one point, maybe, and in the 70s, Old Spice might have been, they might have had a different formula. It might have been more nuanced. But yeah, so a lot of my when people say like how did you get into this or whatever, it's specifically my how my grandfather smelled, how my father smelled, and then going into my dad's fragrance cabinet and playing as a young boy. I don't know, 6 maybe
Okay.
7. I couldn't have been older than that when I was really. I remember spraying stuff and wanting to smell good.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been into scent to some degree since you were very young. But
Yeah,
then we were talking earlier, and you were essentially saying that you don't really know kind of the fragrance industry, or you were looking at my collection and saying, well, you don't really recognize bottles, so you're
yeah.
not sort of into the mainstream side of it. Is that accurate, or were
I
you
guess
ever?
yeah. I mean, not really. I mean, I was aware of it probably more when I was younger, probably from looking at magazines.
Yeah.
And my mom, so then the other tie in too was that my mother was a hairdresser and had salons. So I also grew up in salons and
Yeah.
spent a lot of time in salons. And I would read the magazines, and it would be, Vogue, Vanity Fair. And I remember really enjoying smelling the samples, the little, strips or whatever in the magazines.
Okay.
What were the fragrances that your dad had? Do you remember?
And yeah, so definitely, and I uh, remember enjoying, of course,
Yeah.
Drakkar Noir. He had Chorus. I
Chorus.
remember he really liked Chorus.
Did you like it? Do you remember liking it?
Yeah, yeah. There wasn't much that he had that I didn't really like.
Mm.
Those were two of the ones that stood out the most as like being like go tos for me.
Mhm.
That I would be like, oh, if I'm gonna put on some Drakkar, or I'm gonna
Hmm.
put on some Chorus.
Yeah.
He probably had some Jupe at one point or another. I remember liking
Nice.
the Jupe, maybe pour home.
You pour 'em? Yeah.
Uh, is that one heavy and like there's one that had like a lot of tonka or something in it, I think.
I actually, believe it or not, have never smelled the OG jupe. So I'm
Okay.
not familiar, but my understanding, I think that one was more of like kind of a synthetic fruity masculine kind of vibe.
Yeah, it
You
might have
know,
not been the original.
yeah, Koros is the heavy. Well, it's the
It's got
heavy
civet.
Animalis funky, but combined with barbershop. So it's like kind of both
Yeah.
fresh, clean, and skanky, dirty at the same time.
Yeah. And I
Universal
even like
is
the
definitely the original scent.
Yeah.
going back to I spent a lot of time in my mom's salon, but then I went through a period where I wanted to go. There was a kind of a hip barber shop near me when I was like a teenager or even preteen, like 12, probably started going there, 12, 13. And I remember even just really enjoying the club panade or whatever. Like I called it the old man juice. But that, like you're saying, the barbershop, I like that barbershop kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Um, Travis is asking if we remember that one, and
No.
yeah, I've got
Oh,
vintages
okay,
that are
there.
my favorite. So this is an old Davidoff
Huh.
original. Um,
This
When's that from?
I don't know what year this is from off the top of my head. This one's pretty old. Um, and then there's the Zeno Davidoff as well, which was super popular um, back in the day.
can you not find
They
it?
can still be had. Normally, I can find these things, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love those classic masculine sense.
Yeah. So have you smelled chorus then? The
Well,
chorus,
I
chorus?
assume what you're referring to is Koros.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
That's it. That's
that's
the
your
OG
childhood right
bottle.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So that's one of the OG bottles that
Yeah. That's some good stuff.
just a little one. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's I don't know how wearable it is in the modern
So
world.
that's a vintage. See, yeah. Well, that's a
Yeah,
good
this is
discussion.
a vintage edition. This is from the Gucci era of production, which was this bottle's about 2002,
Okay.
which is relatively vintage. It's over 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even I think I remember another one, Royal Copenhagen. Remember,
Yes, I've got.
Royal Copenhagen.
Yeah, that was like a splash. That was like a cheapy splash, I believe.
It's good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, honestly, there's the stuff from the 80s and 90s that was
Yeah.
drugstore cheapies that you got for $7 or $8 is better than a lot of like expensive
Jamie
modern
Report.
designers.
So,
Joseph,
yeah.
Joseph Dillon and says, Noah, go ahead and do 35 sprays of Kuros before bed tonight. Haha. I
Yeah.
replied with a bunch of skull faces.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind smelling that again. It's been a while.
Oh, I'll send you some. Yeah, I'll
If
put
you got
together.
a hint to spare, I wouldn't mind having a whiff just for
Yeah, for
old
sure.
time's sake.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll chat and I'll figure out what other kind of older vintages maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a little taste of that. I honestly, like you're saying, as far as the industry, I don't have that many fragrances anymore. I have some stuff which I posted the other day from Caitlin from Vireo.
I know of Caitlin. We've
Yeah.
traded messages briefly a couple times, but I have not traded. I have not tried her work.
Yeah, she's great. I really
Not by you,
enjoy.
right?
No, she's in Portland.
Oh, other side of the. Other
She's
side of
in
the
Portland, and which I'll have to come back to because I spent some time in Portland, sort of when I was sort of launching Skanda. So I want to come back to that. But yeah, Caitlin does really amazing, just super unique stuff.
She's
And
all natural, I think, right?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think she has some sensitivities herself, so I think everything is. I don't think she uses any synthetics. Yeah.
Yeah.
At all. So outside of that, then also I also want to give a shout out to David Falsberg from Phoenicia.
We just had him on about a week ago.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I'm sorry I missed it. I'll have to go back and watch it.
It's up on YouTube, so you can check it out.
Okay, so David and
Wonderful human. He's such a great man.
Yeah, I did a collaboration with David a few years ago, and we struck up a friendship actually over. Were you familiar with the company White Lotus Aromatics?
I'm not. That's not true. I am. Yes.
So yeah, they went out of business, and I was sort of along with Caitlin lamenting over the disillusion of their business and the oils that they offered, just because it was very useful in my work, specifically with attars.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had a lot of really niche, unique fragrances, like nice Rukus and things like that from India. And they did a really great job over the course of, I don't know how long they were in business, decades. So David and I struck up a sort of a friendship over Instagram over the dissolution of White Lotus, and we chatted and decided that we should do a collaboration. And I said, let's do an attar, and he was down to do it. So basically David did half and I did half. So we decided on what the volume was going to be. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a super small batch. We did basically 2 tolas worth of each fragrance,
Okay.
I think. So that was, yeah, like 24 mils or in around there.
Yep.
And so it was just a handful of bottles for each of us to, provide for our patrons. And but yeah, it was really fun, and I think some nice stuff came out of it. I kept a little hint of each of the collabs just for my own.
Sure. What was the theme? What'd you guys call it, and what was the theme?
Yeah, so the one was, I know, and he might have spoken about it because he still has his skin graft,
Yep.
maybe.
Yep.
So my understanding was that the basis of one of them was sort of like the skin graft was his piece, or that sort of skeleton of notes, let's say,
Yep.
or
Yep.
vaguely sketched. I think there was like some jasmines and maybe some sweet myrrh, but I remember getting specifically that one, getting that from him in the mail, and I could smell it before I even opened up the bottle, and it was so beautiful and amazing. I like kind of didn't even want to do anything with it. I kind of felt like if I do anything, I'm just gonna screw it up.
Yeah.
But that one was really nice, and I just sort of tried to enhance what he did with different oud oils, some different sandalwoods. Maybe I put in a little deer musk or something,
Okay.
but I didn't want to mess with it too much. And still, even in not messing with it too much, I feel like I
Messed with it too
would
much.
have been better if I just left it. But then the other one was cool. Uh, right, right. It was like he did, I want to say he did sort of a marine kind of thing, and I maybe did like a fougere on top of that.
Okay.
So, and I kind of did a sort of a riff that was inspired by that collaboration later, which I think maybe you got a hint of. It was that seaside fougere.
Yes. I have that in here somewhere, and actually, it may be downstairs because I actually had it in my pocket. I was wearing it the other day. I really,
Yeah.
really like that one.
Hopefully, it didn't go through the laundry.
Is that one is that one up and available on your site?
You know what? I think I only have like a hint of it left, but let's say there'll
It's
probably
not. It's
be.
not on his site. Everybody, don't worry about it.
It's sorry, it's not on the site, but if people put in orders tonight or tomorrow, maybe you'll get a sample of it.
Unless I buy it all first.
But yeah, and how did you want to do? Did you want to tell people about like a giveaway or?
Well, we are going to do a giveaway. Yep.
Yeah, everyone who's lucky enough to be here
If
gets
you're
in on
if
it.
you're here and around, you wanted to do 2 separate giveaways, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also going to be a discount code given at the end of the evening. So stick around for that in case you want to go buy something.
This is awesome.
The patchouli chypre.
I love it.
Yeah, she's smelling patchouli chypre.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know. It's really nice. Ooh.
I love a good chypre.
I want to smell that on you, please.
Yeah.
Damn.
What else did you like, Jamie?
I like a lot of this. I like this one, this full bottle that he got.
Yeah.
The rose amber oud incense.
Yeah, I sort of thought I was thinking of you with that one.
Good thinking. And I think this one's very interesting. The Berkshire Fougere.
Yeah.
Since she brought it up, we'll come back to the giveaway here in a second.
Yeah.
What is it about Berkshire and Fougere that led to this? Because this is this is up there with Koros in terms of like challenging fougères.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I love it. It's beautiful. But this is not a light, fluffy shaving cream barbershop kind of fougere. This is dark, smoky. Um, so what's the connection there,
Yeah,
if there
so
is any?
yeah, the Berkshires is, as I said, that's where I'm from, and it's a pretty green, mountainous place, and there's a lot of conifers around here, and I have at times I harvested, whether it was cedar, local cedar, or pine, and done tinctures and things like that. So I think with the original Berkshire Fougere, with my son, who was probably about 2 at the time, we collected all these pine cones that were just super resinous. And I was like, I
Mhm.
got to do something with these pine cones. And I made like a really pretty potent tincture, as it were, of these pine cones that were locally harvested, and then just sort of built the fragrance on that.
Okay.
And yeah, I would say it was also sort of a tribute to my dad in a way, because I wasn't necessarily at the time thinking of chorus or anything like that,
Yeah.
but yeah, that one, it's got it's got a hefty dose of tonka in it, and there's some. I think I did civet and hyrax in that one.
You have
I
to bring it
can't
up.
remember. There's some sort of oud. I'm not really sure which, but yeah,
It's
I'm glad you like it.
That's beautiful. I mean, it's a deep, dark, woody. God, that's really nice on you. That's the rose amber. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
really
really
good.
pretty.
Yeah. Is there not any birch in here?
You know what? There could. Yeah, I think there is probably a
Okay.
little
I
birch,
was
some
gonna say,
birch tar.
I get that
Yeah,
smoky birch vibe kind of floating through the forest thing.
yeah.
If you guys are looking for anybody that's looking for just a really manly, dark take on the fougere
I
genre,
feel like Ange would like that.
Ange would love this. Are
Where
you
is
kidding me?
Ange?
He probably has some.
Ange probably does. She's got everything he's ever made.
I really
Ange is how I know that I found you,
Yes.
and many many others. The girl,
Thanks to Ange.
the
Yeah.
girl is
Shout out to Ange
yeah
for sure. Yeah.
the Atar
She
connector.
connected me with there's a couple of young perfumers, Jude,
Yep,
um
yep. We know Jude.
and Jonah
Yep,
as well.
yep. That's
all of
So
our
good.
both of
children.
those, yeah,
yeah, yeah. Good,
both
good
of
kid.
those guys like bought some oud for me, and
Awesome.
I needed some supplies, and I had extra stuff to go around, so I've
That's great.
connected with them a little bit.
I love
Yeah.
what a small community this can be of people who are really into the craft and really into appreciating kind of the art aspect of it. That's great.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you interviewed David,
Hmm.
and just sort of to speak on what you had, just mentioned, was the artistic aspect of it. He and I were saying, he was really saying, and I'm agreeing, that he doesn't really feel like people recognize that side of things quite yet in this realm, like some do.
Hmm.
Or maybe they think like it's only the only artists are like the ones that you know about, or
Right.
Chanel number 5.
Yeah.
And so maybe the recognition is coming, but it does seem like it's still a little bit like slow. Like I've even had some people say, well, you're not an artist, you're an artisan. And I said, well, I'm both, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so there is like some whatever barrier for some people, and maybe it's also like a American thing. Maybe I think I've had some European customers, like a gentleman in Italy and a gentleman in France, who I think maybe appreciate what I'm offering on maybe another level.
Sure.
We have Joseph is curious if you have a chocolate dark patchouli attar or fragrance.
I don't, but I can make one.
No.
But I
There you go. So Joseph, he does have.
This one's
You have a
chocolate.
you have a
It's chocolate
Coke.
rose.
You have a chocolate rose. You have a cocoa, a cacao tobacco
yeah.
that I've got. So there's a
Well,
couple of.
what I would do, Joseph, and this is not a marketing ploy, but what I would do is maybe get a sample of. There's a couple of things. There's the one that you liked, I think, Noah, the patchouli leather
It's the one I've got in my
thing.
hand. This is what I was going to say, Joseph. This
So that one I
patchouli
feel like
leather.
almost has like even a chocolatey vibe. But then I also have it's a cacao civet oud, really potent civet cacao combo, and I could see how, quite honestly, you could layer those two,
Ah,
for the effect that you're referring to with the patchouli cacao, and then have a little bit of musk in there as well.
there you go.
One idea.
Yeah, this patchouli leather oud is magnificent.
What are we giving away?
All right, giveaway. Jamie wants to do
Well,
one of the giveaways.
I just want to know.
Okay, so I don't have a ton of stuff like the samples. I want to give away some samples. Like I want to do 3 separate sample Attar Mukalat sets. So
Cool.
they'll be like probably a half mil, not a lot, but 3 different things, and I'll try to choose 3 unique blends. And if anybody wants to avoid something and they win or whatever, they can let me know, hey, I really don't like patchouli or whatever, and I'm fine with that.
I'm just getting paper.
Jamie's going to grab something to take notes
Yeah.
on. So we have a really complex system for doing giveaways here, Justin. What we do is we have people pick numbers.
Great. Do it.
So let's see. We got 22 on TikTok. We've got 10 on YouTube, and like I always forget, I forgot to click live on the Instagram tab.
Really?
Like I told you, I
Let's do
always
it.
do. So there's nobody on Instagram at the moment, although I just went live on there.
Okay.
Did you click the go live button on your Instagram tab when you connect after you connected?
I don't know if I did. I guess I didn't.
Yeah, go back over to that tab. If you'd like.
I don't know if I can get it on here. Let's see. Is it go
It's enough
live?
to just track these 2.
Where is it again?
Numbers game,
Do you have
honestly.
your Instagram page pulled up in a browser?
Yes.
Yeah, click on that.
Yeah, I do know.
And
Okay, create, you said?
oh yeah, forget it. If you're don't even worry about it. It's all good. If you'd have to.
Yeah, I mean, I told people to go over to your
Great.
That's
page,
fine.
basically.
That's fine.
The numbers game is hard enough on one channel. Never mind 3.
Okay. So we've got 2. All right, everybody. So we got about 25 to 30 people. So let's do between 1 and 150.
No,
What
we'll
are you
do his
pointing
wheel. Your wheel.
Oh, right.
You got to pull out the
Yes,
numbers
dear.
wheel.
I have a random number generator, and everybody, here's for prize number 1. Go ahead and pick a number 1 to 150.
And type it into the chat. Just type it once, please.
Yes, if you guess twice, you're disqualified, and people will catch you. They will catch you. They always do. You can do Zach. You can do it in YouTube or TikTok. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, everybody that's on YouTube, go ahead. Feel free to type it in. We
All
have
right.
two winners.
Tony and well,
Yeah, we can do two for. Yeah, I'm gonna do two. Yeah,
Great.
and I might have something else. We'll see. Let's do these though.
Okay.
all right. Well, this is just for one right now.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I think we're good here. Everyone has stopped.
All right, everybody. Let me find the picker wheel here. We've got 1 to 150. And we are spinning. You can see it's spinning there. Oh, everybody can see on that. That's great. That works. $60. All right. We don't have anybody super close in YouTube to 60. Jonathan 1970 is with us again. Jonathan, welcome.
Hey, Jonathan.
I was going to say you probably know Jonathan, right?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of these names are sort of familiar, but then maybe they're slightly different here. Or
Sure.
I'm not
Well,
totally recognizing them,
clever.
but if you know me, say hello and remind me of
Jonathan
who
has
you
a great YouTube channel. He's a vintage lover.
I think it's
are.
Mel.
Okay.
Okay. Mel.
Mel, that's so cool.
All right, Mel.
Oh, Mel had 57, but he picked so many different numbers.
Oh, okay.
Did you, Mel?
All right. Well, Mel's going to get disqualified, sadly.
Hey, what's up, Jonathan?
Oh, yeah, you did, Mel.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
You
Mel
had
picked
11
about.
and 12.
All right, Mel's disqualified, sadly.
Okay.
Who's the next
Okay.
closest?
The next closest, we had a 40-something.
Dream Journalist is 42. Is that the closest?
No, Kruthik had 43.
Okay.
And we had an 87 and an 86.
That's true. Those are further away.
43. I think 43 is the next.
Okay. Is anybody closer than 43? So 17 away. If you are, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yep.
Kruthik, congrats, buddy.
And he just won. So, Kruthik, I still have to send you your Amberish. So now you get to have two prizes with
He
this
won
one.
Ambrish?
A little one.
Yeah. But when did we?
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Oh, we did a
On
giveaway?
a giveaway that we did.
I don't remember.
But your Amberish wasn't ready.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's okay, Mel. Don't worry about it. We're going to do it again. So next time, just only pick one number.
Okay. Do we want to do another one right away?
Why not?
Sure.
Let's do it. All right, everybody. Same drill. We've got what do we got in there? Yeah, we still got So let's do 1 to 150 again, everybody.
Hi, Tim.
Go ahead, throw down another number.
1 to 150. Only pick one number. Put it once, please. Ken's really into the 117. Ken, what is it with 117? Ken.
Jonathan, I'm trying to see if I can steer you in a direction for his work. I don't know if you've gotten into the Atari game or not. I don't think I've seen you talking about him. Jonathan 1970 is one of the best vintage and classic.
I really want to recommend this Patchouli Sheep Rose.
Yeah, the Patchouli Sheep Rose.
He missed when we were talking about the Chorus.
The Chorus.
Yeah. Jonathan knows his Chorus.
All
That's
right.
for sure.
I think we've got everybody's numbers in.
All right, everybody. Here we go. We are spinning again. Ken is changing to 145.
Okay, Ken.
83.
Okay.
Zach has 88.
Okay.
So is anybody within 5 of 83? Ooh, Dream Journalist, he beat you by 1. Sorry, Travis.
No, I think whoever 83 was won.
That was Succinctopus.
Oh, Succinctopus, yay.
Yeah. Jonathan, I love how Jonathan says, I've been here from the beginning, and it sounds like the voice of God. I have been here from the beginning.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Zach, you won the other set of samples.
There you go. So,
I think you like them, Zach. They're interesting.
You guys, well, actually, we know both these guys. So you guys all pass your info along to Justin.
Yeah, you can just message me and send
you guys
me your
message Justin. You guys talk to him about what maybe you want in your samples. Is that fair? Or
Yeah, I mean, I would say if there's a request for something, I'll entertain it. Generally, I would say for a giveaway, if it's a sample
Don't
set,
work
I
too hard.
usually reserve the right to perfumer's choice. But
Yeah.
if somebody says, "Oh, geez, I'd really like a whiff of this," you can
Well, we will
ask.
just send you the full names of these two gentlemen who have won so far,
Yeah,
just so nobody tries to sneak in and claim a prize. Um,
got it.
so I want to go back because I don't have a strong enough sense of your lore yet. Um, when did you actually start blending?
Um, Probably 2013, 20 in around there.
Okay,
2013. Like
and
before that, I might have messed around with some things like for like aromatherapy purposes, but not really much. So
yeah,
yeah, 2013.
Are you still a practicing therapist?
No, I don't really do any massage anymore.
Yeah.
Um, no, I don't. It's been a while, but yeah, I did Thai massage and
Awesome.
Swedish, right? Standard massage. But yeah, I did the training at Kripalu and Lotus Palm School of Thai Massage.
Awesome. That was
So
like
yeah,
fun.
I also had the interest in aromatherapy from like an Ayurvedic perspective, and I've done
Mm,
Ayurvedic blends and actually
cool.
have an Ayurvedic massage therapist and practitioner who I've been working with some Ayurvedic blends for her massage oils.
oh, cool.
So yeah, that's always sort of in the background for me. I just don't, for obvious reasons, I don't market things in that way, and I don't
Yeah.
necessarily want that. However, I will tell people that, for example, we know that tuberose has been, I think, clinically studied and shown to reduce cortisol.
Oh,
So there
Interesting.
are things like that are pretty verifiable.
yeah.
I'm sure there are others. That's just one that always springs to mind for me is
Yeah,
the tuberose and the
maybe that's why
connection
I'm in my
with
white
reducing
floral
cortisol.
phase.
Maybe it's like an anti-ADHD
Interesting.
flower.
Yeah, I've found myself really enjoying a lot of white, like feminine leaning white florals recently.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what?
Well, tuberose has a good bit of sort of indolic
Mm.
Yeah.
sort of hints in there that are yeah, I remember the first time that I put my nose on tuberose, and it's just so unlike anything else. There's
Yeah.
nothing.
Um, so real quick, because Jonathan was asking, Jonathan, the
Yeah.
one that we mentioned in the same breath is called Berkshire Fougere. Now, just to be clear, this doesn't smell like Koros. I mentioned it in the same breath in that it is brazen in the way that Koros is brazen. I mean, it's not a gentle barbershop kind of fougere. It's coniferous. It's smoky. It's ambery. um, so it's like a dark fougere with some challenge aspects. So that might be one. And I can send you if you'd like. I can send you a sample of that, Jonathan. Jamie thought maybe you'd like his patchouli chypre. Um,
Did you
I
smell this frankincense pecor?
Yeah, isn't that good?
I love it.
I think you guys got the last of that, or
Oh,
somebody.
really?
Yeah, there's not really any left, but
It's amazing.
What are you currently sort of working on or have in development?
yeah, there's always a few different things in various stages. Let's say I just finished a few things that were long projects that just didn't get finished for whatever reason. But they were all using the Chinese oud from Jeff. Yuzi oud. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Like Jeff, have gotten his stuff a few times, and the Chinese oud is really, again, it's just super unique. And
Yeah, I don't know it real well.
I'm just sort of enjoying getting to. I mean, to be perfectly honest, like I'm just learning about it myself, and uh, but yeah, I do have several things that are like in the works. And then there's always certain popular blends that go out of, that become out of stock, or and then I need to recreate them, and sometimes it might take me a little while because I'm missing some key ingredients and
Sure.
Got to source
don't
the
get the
material.
deer musk because I'm waiting to get, a higher quantity or whatever, and it might take a little while. So,
About this.
yeah.
Do you where are you with the South American tribute? Is that available readily?
Is it the oil or a perfume?
That seems to be an oil to me.
Yeah, that one, it's so funny. Like,
Yeah, that's an oil.
yeah, I don't think I have any of that left. I could definitely redo it, but it's interesting how I just, as far, I'm sure you understand like where the inspiration comes from, and I will make something and I don't necessarily have like a market in mind.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
thinking like, oh, I can sell, like I just have to make it because I have to make it. And in many cases, like to be honest, like I have blends that sit around, people don't buy for whatever reason.
Sure.
Maybe it's challenging, or the notes they aren't familiar with, or it doesn't sound good, or whatever. I'm sure there's a million reasons. Most of the time with that, especially with the Atars, I don't really mind, because the way that I sort of look at it is they're only getting better in
Mhm.
most cases, especially if there's a good bit of sandalwood and oud in there.
Mhm.
And I just sort of look at it as enhancing the blend over time, and I can theoretically charge more.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Justin, what are your socials? Are you Sense by Skanda on Instagram?
Yeah. Sense
Okay.
by Skanda Fragrances, I
Okay.
believe. Sense by Skanda Fragrances.
Folks are asking, so.
Um, I also
Yeah,
want to
Sense by
know.
Skanda Fragrances. In one thing, sorry, Noah, is I would just ask people, like, if you're super attached to Etsy, want to buy an Etsy, fine by me. I would just ask people, if you really want to support me, if you could go to my website.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
No fees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please,
For
everybody, buy from the website. It's very convenient.
but but if
Sensebysplenda.com.
you need to buy from Etsy, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah. Sometimes Etsy throws out those, $10 off coupons, and people want
Oh,
to
do
do those.
they?
Thais is on the website. What would Thais like?
Oh, this girl's getting into all the good funky stuff.
Yeah.
I'll have to message her later.
I think she would like this.
I think she would too.
This
In fact,
one,
she
this
would.
is the one you'd like to get, Thais. Rose, amber, oud, incense. It's beautiful.
Tell me about the Samurai Attar. One, is it available? Two, what's in it?
The Samurai Attar. There were a couple incarnations of that.
I think this one's a
Hold
little
on. Let
bit
me
older.
Sure, he has.
let me just check real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jonathan wanted to ask about, or no, Tony wanted to know about the inspiration behind civet coffee,
This is
or Shipra rather.
Civet Shipra.
Yeah, it says, I'm curious of thoughts behind civet Shipra.
Oh, Tony, have you smelled it?
Um.
Well, we'll let you do one thing at a time, Justin. Tony, have you smelled the Civet Shipra?
King Tut.
It's civety. The civet is not hiding in this one.
I'll pass on some, one.
Jamie doesn't do raw civet.
Not a fan.
Yeah, in that one, I might have used a combination of actually a real civet and also a synthetic
Oh, okay.
in that one. Um,
You also did a vanilla oud tobacco attar that I had last year that was damn
okay,
good. That was really, really good stuff. You could, if you made
okay.
more of that,
Was it super resinous
it was.
or
It was very resinous.
yeah?
Yeah.
So I think yeah, I did. There definitely a popular one over the years has been it's a vanilla oud amber civet thing,
Mm.
and I've changed it, over the years and tweaked it in various ways. And I was going to mention that I really early on I had a woman that when I say really early on, within the first like year or so of selling, had a woman purchase a rose musk thing and then wanted more, and it had changed a little bit and she just lost it on me.
Oh
Like
no.
she was like pissed off, like and
Jeez.
like sort of read me the riot act via text or something.
Yeah.
And
People
like
are very
how
attached to their
how
formulations.
dare you do this? Like, I can't believe you think you're running a business like this. And
Oh man.
I just sort of I took it really personally, probably,
Sure.
or was like really worried about it, or
Yeah. I
um,
mean, I stress
but
about that. I get
but
it.
yeah, you're never gonna there are gonna be people that hate you, and I just found out specifically with atars and oud, and that if I was gonna be making atars with like heavy oud oils, that a lot of those are gonna kind of change and shift from year to year, even if I get it from the same vendor, it might be slightly different. So I had, if I do I did a Viet guitar, and and
Yeah.
then like the next time I got the Viet, it was pretty different. So,
Yeah.
and most of the time, I find people now they don't mind, and people who know a little bit about oud, they can smell that it's maybe a different oud, but still high quality, but maybe gives it a slightly different feel.
Sure.
I think people are better educated about oud now in general, and they understand. You're not getting it from the same tree. It's different. There's some variation just based on the fact that it's not just one tree that's giving
Right.
off oud. It's a lot of different
The
trees.
magical oud tree.
Yeah, do you guys have like oil oud oils that you gravitate towards, or like
I
region wise or country wise,
No,
or
not really. And to be honest, I don't know the oud game that well. Um, I buy stuff from you and a handful of other people who do kind of oud heavy naturals. Um, and then I've got a few ouds that I use and source um, for some of the stuff that I make. But I don't know. I couldn't pick varietals of Assam ouds out of a lineup. I don't.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't do that. Um,
I'm not necessarily a Uber expert or anything
yeah,
either, so
I
I'm
will
not
tell you that
gonna be.
this vintage Thai oud
Yeah,
is among the best that I've smelled. This is gorgeous stuff.
yeah, it is. It's that to me that reminds me of. It's got a little bit of that distinguished gentleman library
Yes, yes,
sort of smoking, like smoking jacket.
yes. Do you use this in certain blends? If
Yeah,
so,
that it's got a very sort of specific profile, But yeah, to me it's got a very distinguished sort of feel to it.
yeah,
And almost I don't know if you get it. I'm just curious. It almost has like a little bit of a mustiness
Yes, I mean, you hit it when you said like gentleman library, like that kind of like academia sort of, um, like old books and leather couches and
Oh,
a nice kind of corduroy jacket with a leather patches on the elbow,
yes, exactly. Yeah.
pipe smoke stuck in kind of the the fabric around the room and the curtains, that kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I might have used that a little bit of that in one of the things with David Fallsburg. But yeah, and those are maybe a little bit, the vintage ones are a little bit uh tougher to work with than some of the other oils that I've tried. But actually I think the Randy Savage has maybe the Cambodia
Okay.
vintage in there. Yeah. I think that's got a good dose of the Cambodia vintage.
Um, let's see. What else have we? Oh, Tony was asking about your sort of inspiration or idea with the civet Shipra.
Yeah, Tony, I think I just had some materials lying around, and I liked the patchouli chifra, and people seem to like that. So it was just sort of like a riff on that. And I know other people have done that sort of a vibe, but I've never smelled any other civet chifra, so I don't
Okay.
have anything to compare it against. But actually, that one, this I just wanted to say, I don't know if Ange is here, but this is the last of that, and it's reserved for Ange.
Nice.
That's right up her
Of
alley.
course it is.
That is so up her
Of
alley.
course it is. Lovely, lovely. Well, Tony knows not to fight Ange for her stinky stuff. So
I love this one.
yeah, which one do you like?
I really
The
love that
patchouli
patchouli
Shipra.
Shipra.
You
It's
can
so
keep
pretty.
that in your collection if you'd like.
Right.
Before I forget, I wanted to roll back to, we were talking about Portland. Well, we touched on Portland.
Yeah, yeah.
Caitlin is from Portland. So when I had been blending for a couple years and making some of my own creations, but I hadn't really put myself out there. And I was, basically selling oud. I was like a vendor I was buying it, not even wholesale, but from another Atar seller at the time. And that's sort of where I like just learned about materials and oud. And anyways, make a long story short, I was getting into blending heavily when I was in Portland, and I was staying at a friend's house and sleeping on their couch. And I think it was probably, I don't know if it was leather or vinyl or what, but I would come and stay for a few days and make my blends and hang out. And so it wasn't until years later that I found out from a mutual friend that my friends who I had stayed with in Portland, I guess, subsequently threw out their couch because it stunk to them so badly of like probably deer musk and civet
Oh
and
my God.
patchouli that I was just bathing in it at the time, and sleeping on their couch and probably didn't have a sheet down or whatever.
Right, right.
And they weren't really scent people. But they were happy to have me and okay, do your thing. But yeah, as I said, I found out years later that they had to toss their couch and they
Oh
were
my
like too
God.
embarrassed to tell me.
Yeah,
So I thought that was a funny story.
yeah. That's pretty impressive.
Now, right, in certain circles, that could have been a very valuable couch.
I was going to
Right.
say, right? It's
Like
infused with the
oud
essence of all of
infused.
this, right?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right. And that brings me to like, even I have friends where I'll visit them, and I think I had a jacket I think I left it at my friend's place, and then the next time I saw them, they gave me the jacket, and they were like, "Oh, it smells so good." And even I guess after for weeks, that room that my jacket was in left some lingering essence that they were
Yeah.
maybe appreciating.
I mean, I think we forget the learning curve with some of these ingredients, materials, and fragrances that we really come to love and appreciate. That um,
They're
most
not mainstream.
they're not. It's not just yeah. I mean, they're not mainstream, and they're just so challenging to the average person who either isn't a scent person or is just wearing the sweet kind of off the shelf designer stuff. Um, it's like I'm sitting here convincing myself like this civet Shipra is like, oh, I could throw this on for the office.
Nope, you should not.
Yeah.
Should not do that.
I'm like, no, it's
It's gonna be
beautiful. It's
really
beautiful. It's
unpleasant for
floral.
people.
It's blah. It's like, yeah. To most people, these things just they kind of stink. A
You could
lot of
do
them.
this one.
I can do the patchouli Shipra for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've learned to bring amber oud incense into the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
And I think there's a collective patchouli trauma in this country specifically.
yeah.
I've had people who I've encountered. I had this one guy, I'll tell you, he asked me for directions. This is in my town. This is a few years ago. He was out in front of the library, asked me for directions, and I approached him and got maybe within 5 feet, and he literally like physically recoiled. Yo, man, get that patchouli stink away from me. And
Oh,
I
God.
don't think I had even put patchouli on that day. It was like a combination,
Lingering.
maybe vetiver, sandalwood, maybe the essence was there was no patchouli in there, but he smelled something and it hit some
We
whatever connection in
had a
his brain.
spiritual teacher. We had a spiritual teacher once who told us that if we wore patchouli fragrances, we would attract dark energies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which is like so clearly this sort of like something that was like, some sort of like anti-hippie thing from like the 60s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because all the hippies were wearing patchouli in the 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
And that patchouli became associated with all of that kind of, counterculture drug stuff. And some high and mighty spiritual person tried to, get all the patchouli out of the cult by telling them.
Yeah, so I feel like I had to almost like sort of say I don't care about what anybody says about this stuff, and really try to put all the conditioning about patchouli, let's say, just throw it out entirely,
Yeah.
and really kind of enjoy the material and all the nuances that come with, again, depending on where the patchouli is from. And, again, going back to the healing work, it has basis in Ayurvedic medicine.
Yeah.
It's a grounding resinous oil for sure. That's probably people that have a lot of vata in their
for the vata
system.
Yes.
That would patchouli is probably good for those folks.
Hmm.
But yeah, I even was saying to my friend earlier that in some of my seeking, and specifically maybe let's say psychedelic use or misuse, that I wish that I had the connection to some of these compounds. Then I feel like it might have helped me integrate some of those experiences in a more holistic way, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I think even coming out of, like, I don't want to ever say I had a bad trip, but there were definitely some challenging times, and I could see sort of in hindsight some of the effects that I get from, say, a oud or patchouli or some of the even simple attars on a psychic level, how that could have been helpful at the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That makes sense. What would you recommend for someone who's got too much pitta?
Too much pitta is probably like, rose is always going to be good. Lang.
There you go. Put it on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pitta. I'm like kapha pitta. So yeah,
So
Rukus.
our friend Ken is our favorite patchouli SLUT, and he wants to know what the most patchouli forward scent you have currently is.
Huh? I don't know.
The
It
patchouli
could
super
be.
is still available, right?
Yeah, there's still a little bit of that left. I wouldn't say that's the most patchouli forward. I feel like the patchouli leather is more patchouli forward. Um,
Where's that one?
there's also one that was a simple, nice blend that I think unfortunately I'm out of. I might need to make more of, but it was just some sambac, patchouli, civet, benzoin, and sandalwood and oud, I think.
Okay.
That one's nice, but I'm pretty sure I'm out of it. But yeah, I do have definitely many patchouli forward things for sure. Yeah, anybody who has any questions beyond this, feel free to message me for recommendations.
Yeah,
But yeah,
on Instagram.
the patchouli rose oud is also probably one of the. It's called like Sol Venerum. Yeah, that one's pretty popular. Has like whenever I'm vending in person, I oftentimes will offer that as like a sample to people. And it's funny, I'll notice that I'll have people come by and try an attar, something that maybe has a lot of oud in it, and they might have a lukewarm reaction or maybe not any reaction at all in the moment. And then I find it could be an hour later at some flea market. They come back and say, "Hey, what was it that you put right here?
Yeah.
That smells really amazing now."
Yeah.
And I have to try and remember what I gave them.
Right.
Or
Right.
smell it over everything.
So Zach is asking about the fragrance consultation. He's asking,
Yeah.
after the deposit, is the cost generally similar to the already developed attars you produce?
I would say it depends on the ingredients, Zach. I would say for a custom, I could generally, offer something within that range, but probably going to be a little bit more, but depending on the time, ingredients. So a custom, could be 200. I could potentially do it for 150. It really depends. So, yeah,
It takes time.
basically ingredient dependent. If you want something that's a super strong oud, like custom, I can do that for you. It might be $250. It just all depends. So,
Sure.
sorry, I'm not really answering your question.
No, that's
Ken says he was screaming my name about the one he needs to remake. What was it called? The patchouli that was going to be remade. Patchouli rose? Was it a patchouli rose?
Oh, you mean the jasmine patchouli civet thing?
Oh,
yes, that one.
Yeah, that was probably the one.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, like Travis says, the benzoin patchouli, that's a nice one for somebody that doesn't want anything that's too animalic. So it's sweet. He could probably describe it better than I can. But yeah, Travis liked that one so much that I did a sort of a higher end, let's say, blend of that using maybe a a slightly more expensive aged patchouli and oud.
Cool.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to fire away. Or
Yeah.
but yeah, I just wanted to share this real quick. This is a little drawing that
Oh, cool.
Travis did.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love it.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's a neat perspective.
See, that fella's wearing the patchouli leather oud attar. That's my.
And I got a couple I'll show.
Ken, I don't think you're going to find it on the website.
Here's another.
Oh, wow.
Drawing by Dream Journalist. And this one is one of my favorites.
Yeah, very cool. I love the alchemical vibe there.
Right. Well, I think I might have shared with Travis that I maybe sometimes would imagine myself in that same sort of realm. Like, you see these old alchemical drawings of like the magus or whatever, the alchemist in his room. And there's one where there's just sort of everything is strewn about and it's fairly messy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned to him how sometimes that's the feeling that I have when I'm working, creating.
Sure.
Yeah. What about you guys? So like, do you create things at a certain time? I tend to do things at night.
I do too.
Most in the morning.
Yeah, sometimes in the first thing in the morning, but mostly I'm up late after she goes to bed. Yeah, that seems to be my creative time. Yeah.
I find that I pack orders during the day. I prefer to pack orders when I have orders during the day. That's nice and easy, and I might listen to a podcast while I pack up orders or whatever. And
sounds fun.
But in the evening and late at night is sort of when I might be even searching for some sort of creative impulse. And it might start with like, I'm just going to pull out these few materials and mess around.
Right. Sure. Okay. So Ken wants to know for future reference, if you remake, or maybe he'll have you remake it. The one that's the civet tuberose patchouli oud. Is that
or civet jasmine? I don't remember that one, but the
civet jasmine
patchouli. Oh, okay, I'm not sure about that one. Which one he's referring to? But
I'm not either.
Well, I'll figure it out. Or
all right, I'll let you guys chat. Okay, so we've done the 2 giveaways, and then you also wanted to share that there will be discounts for people who are watching currently. Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna do. Let's see. What should we do? We're gonna do 20% off on the website, and so we're gonna use your handle as our discount code on the website. I haven't plugged it in yet, but I'll do it by the end of the evening tonight. So it'll be live by, we'll say, midnight.
Okay. And I've pulled the website up here so people on TikTok can see.
Mr. and Mrs. Sniff?
So no, Jamie and Noah will be.
Oh.
Or no, I'm sorry. It is Mr.
Whatever you want.
Let's do Mr. and Mrs. Sniff.
Mr. or Mrs. and Mr.?
Mr. and Mrs. Sniff.
Okay.
We'll make this as hard for people as possible. You got to pass the test, folks, if you want the
20. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, any other questions before we let this gentleman go? Because it's 10:30 on the East Coast.
Whatever. I still got other things I can talk about if you guys are down. But if you're looking to end up soon, that's fine too. Whatever works
No,
for
no.
you.
Well, what else is on your mind? I'm always curious. So
I mean, I took a few notes.
yeah, please.
um, yeah, let's see. There were a few things that I wanted to maybe touch on. Yeah, so I initially, shortly after I started blending, let's say, I was making pretty, like you said, pretty simple stuff and mucalat blends, ambery things, and learning about oud. And I happened to be vending at this. It was like a holiday flea market at a. It's a Steiner school, and they have like a sort of a co-op there, but it has this whole built-in sort of Steiner community. But there was this really amazing gentleman who I met who happened to be into perfume, and he shared that he not only was into perfume but worked for the company Berger for years
I'm familiar
as
with them.
like yeah, you should check them out. As I think he probably held many positions, but long story short, he gifted me all these materials. Like he was in his 70s. He was retired, and he's like, I have so much of this stuff. I don't even really want it anymore, and I'm just gonna give you all these oils. So we set a date to meet. He lived in New Jersey, and he was going to be back up in my area a couple months later. And he showed up with boxes upon boxes of materials, many of which I still have, like aged patchoulis, Indonesian
Wow,
patchoulis. And I just really, I'm grateful for him because he just gave me all these materials for nothing.
it's amazing.
And I probably would have never been able to purchase all this stuff, especially at the time, or would have never even found out about a lot of materials that he gave me. Just really buchu oil, which has a really unique fragrance. I haven't really used it too much, but shiso, like a shiso oil,
Wow,
which was actually part of it might have been like a sort of a Japanese blend that I did. And yeah, the samurai sorry, go back to there was
yeah,
somebody asked about the samurai thing.
yeah. Well, I
I
was asking actually about the samurai attire.
Yeah, that one has shiso in it.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, I'm out of that, but would like to make more. So
Pretty.
stay tuned. Message me if you're interested in that one, and I'll see if I can get a new batch going
It makes me
sometime
picture like a
soon.
bonsai tree.
What's that?
It makes me picture a bonsai tree.
Yeah, it's got a Japanese yuzu, hinoki wood, shiso, Indian sandalwood, Vietnamese oud, and Hiba cedar wood. So yeah, I wanted to mention. I don't know if it's OCD or what, but I get these ideas in my head about like places that I've never been to Japan, so I don't really know anything about it. But
Yeah,
in terms of what it smells like, but it's sort of my way of, I guess, fantasizing about what it might smell like to say be in a Japanese temple or whatever in a maybe in a certain time period in the past.
yeah, sure. I mean, it's got that transportive quality for me. Um, It really does.
Yeah, and I know not everyone is gonna be like that, but that's
Oh, it's beautiful.
what you're referring to is, I don't want to say the goal, but I'm I'm delighted when I hear that it has that effect on somebody,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Sure.
that's what I've experienced, and I know it can be very powerful, just in terms of accessing memories
Mm.
that maybe you would have never otherwise accessed.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. To me, it's like, I've mentioned something like this with a fragrance from an indie perfumer, Darren Allen. It evokes this sort of like experience of like being nostalgic for memories that aren't actually mine.
Right.
It's like tapping into some aspect of like the collective unconscious, that I don't have any firsthand experience of, but like I smell this and it puts me in some place that it's like somehow I'm longing for it, but I've never had it, so it doesn't make any sense. But it's really beautiful. Um,
Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, like it's interesting what things, I mean, I've heard just connections made that I don't understand, but I'm like, hey, it's cool. Like one gentleman, I think it was the Black Musk,
yeah,
and
that's here somewhere.
yeah, the Black Musk and some iteration of that, but it might have been the first time he bought anything from me, and at Tars, we're sort of newer to him. And this gentleman is a Mexican American, and he was telling me that when he smelled this black musk, that he had like a distinct memory of his Mexican grandmother making tortillas,
Interesting.
and like everything that like went along with that, and maybe she was in oils or something like that. Um, but
I could totally see that. That's fascinating. It has I don't know how to describe it. Like a musty maze kind of vibe to it. It absolutely makes sense that he would pick up something like that. Um, some people get that from Amouage Reflection 45. People say the same thing, that there's this interesting kind of tortilla chip sort of vibe.
is this the homage behind this one
Uh,
behind you? Is that the section right there?
yeah, this is all Amouage here. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
that's what I thought. I
yeah,
recognize their bottle. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm vaguely familiar with some of their stuff, and
yeah.
a lot of it seems interesting, but I don't know that much.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I'll have to put together a little care package for you, just because I'd be so curious um, to hear your take on. Yeah, that's a very musky,
Mhm.
musky musk.
So yeah, I mean, I think there's some maybe vague intention behind me not smelling a lot of stuff, because I don't really want to be influenced in that way.
Yeah. Well, you're the second perfumer that we've gotten to know who has the same philosophy. Mark Sage, who does Clandestine Laboratories, which is this house up here, which is
Okay.
like all these
I don't
cylindrical
know him.
bottles up high here. He's based out of New York. Same thing, self-taught perfumer who loved scent but didn't grow up, you know, having fragrances and having a collection and being a collector and anything like that. And you know, he kind of avoids smelling a lot of things because his creative process has come out of his own internal inspiration, not influenced by any of that.
Right. Well,
I get it.
some people say, yeah, like where does my inspiration come? My inspiration comes from a lot of times music,
Mm.
but more specifically, many times, philosophy in relationship to music, say improvised music, and more specifically, maybe jazz.
Mm.
I know I mentioned my grandfather, who was a saxophone player, but my dad was a great jazz drummer,
Oh, cool.
and um, so not only did he dress well and really smell amazing, but he had the whole sort of New York jazz, sort of a hip beatnik of that generation vibe. And he really just sort of, I can say, taught me a lot about art and what it means to be an artist. And his whole thing in his drumming was basically less is more,
Mm.
which you can see in some of the compositions of like, hey, it's only three things.
Right.
And whereas like some people might not think that much of that. And but that's not to say that like I don't have like a respect for like fine perfume
Sure. Yeah.
tradition, and I'm familiar with it. It's just I don't really have an interest in doing something that's already been done.
Yep. As I continue to kind of grow into perfumery, and I'm dabbling in creating things. There's a fine line there where I've met some wonderful perfumers, that I can go to for advice and information, and it's useful and it's helpful. But also, I'm not gonna. I just know I'm not gonna be a guy who creates something like Bertrand Duchefort or Edmund Rudnitska or anybody, that there's going to be something that's more kind of authentic and original to me, and that you have to be careful, right, to kind of like stick with that and let that evolve without too much outside influence. So yeah, it's an interesting philosophy, and again, like I'm glad that there's guys like you doing this kind of work, or even Mark Sage, who does more, kind of complex formulas in modern perfumery, but who has stayed away from outside influence and has thus created things that are like nothing else out there. Right? They're very, very original. So yeah, I mean, I love this style of perfume. I'm glad I don't have to choose between this and Amouage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In I was at a say I don't really do, I guess, I'm not good at tooting my own horn. But if anybody is curious, feel free to go. The Etsy is really good to see reviews.
Right.
So if anybody's curious about reviews, most of the stuff that I sell, you can find a review for it on Etsy. And I've had people over the last, let's say, 5 years, I would say, compare what I'm offering to, say, some other attar makers that are maybe a bit
Bigger
more
names.
popular than me,
Yeah.
bigger names,
Charging 10 times what you're charging.
maybe charging a bit more than me.
Yeah.
And some people have even said, like, how can this be any good? He's only charging this or whatever.
It's incredible, that psychological thing. Yeah.
But I will say I know that there are some perfumers, people put in orders and they take 2 weeks. I'm never going to take 2 weeks to ship to you. Never.
Okay.
Good.
I'd have to get run over by a truck or something. Knock on
Yeah.
wood.
Hopefully not. What are you gonna dab on there? Or are you just smelling?
Roman is looking for a sandalwood.
Okay.
So I picked up one that said chocolate rose sandalwood.
Roman, what's up? He does a number of sandalwoods, Roman.
Yeah, almost everything has sandalwood in it, Roman. Some more than others. There's a
I like it.
But yeah, if you're wanting more sandalwood, let me think.
Yeah. What about this?
Sadhu's.
The Sadhu's Delight.
Yeah, that one's a cool one. So got the inspiration for that from. I've never actually met a sadhu in real life, and at least in this lifetime, but I created that with that image in my attention and what I imagine he would want to smell like.
Mm.
We have another fragrance like that.
Yeah, we're gonna have
We
to
should-
send. I was just thinking we need to send him some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. There's a buddy of ours, Nitish Dixit, who created a fragrance called Meditation Mist, centered around Omani frankincense that he created to evoke the aura around a sadhu, a guru.
Nice.
And it's very
He's
interesting.
he's an Indian perfumer.
Yeah, I think I've seen him with you guys briefly.
Yeah.
Anything on this? So Roman wants to know anything on the spicy nutty side of sandalwoods, or spicy nutty in general.
Yeah, well, one that comes to my attention, Roman, is it's in the line of some of my sort of geographically inspired blends. So I did this one that's everything is from Indonesia. So and I mentioned White Lotus Aromatics before, and this was using the White Lotus Aromatics sandalwood from Indonesia. It's a Indonesian patchouli, a Indonesian nutmeg, again Indonesian benzoin, also a little bit of vetiver, and also some lawang, which is sort of a cinnamon spicy like thing, and masoya bark as well. So that's one of the Indo attars that might fit the description of. That's what I'm feeling from what he said. Spicy.
Spicy. You do this frankincense bakor oil.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if there's sandalwood in there, but this is a wonderful. You're not going to be able to read that, but trust me, it says frankincense. This is a lovely spicy incense oil. This is beautiful. Is there more of this on the site?
Don't think so.
No. Okay. It's torture.
Sorry, I might have ran out of that one sort of recently.
Yeah, this is the one we have the last of.
Oh, okay. What are you looking for?
Nothing. I'm looking for anything. I was answering a question.
Cool.
Roman says, "What was the name of the Indonesian one he mentioned?"
The Indonesian one is, let's see.
Yes, please. Thank you, Jonathan. No Etsy. Use the website, everybody. And remember, you got a 20% off code, Mr. and Mrs. Sniff.
I haven't set that up yet, but I will
later on.
Yes, I'll set that up when we're done, closer to being done here. Let me check. Okay. Yeah. That one. So I think I called them Java Attar, and there's a couple of them. Hold on, let me find which one.
Oh, this bending time fougere, guys. That's some good stuff.
Okay, yeah. Who was it who asked about the Indonesian one?
Roman.
Yeah, Roman. It's so it's listed on the website as Java Attar alternate take Indo collection. So, but yeah, if you have trouble finding it, let me know. But yeah, Java. If you search Java Attar alternate or just Java Attar, and it's the alternate take.
Um, Justin, is this coffee sandal oud? Is that the Flying Church one that I have?
Yeah, the perfume. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that one was just this coffee shop that sprung up, and I approached the guy and was like, "Hey, how about doing a coffee fragrance?" Like, and he was open to it, and he gave me a bunch of his roasted coffee beans, and I ground them and made a tincture, and that was the basis for that one. And
Okay.
the coffee shop went under shortly after, and he didn't seem to have any interest in it, so I've just been offering it, yeah, on Etsy and the website to people who find it. But yeah, I like coffee as a note, and um, I coffee is a big part of maybe my creative process too. Um, I find myself drinking quite a bit of coffee.
I'm gonna go back to his face. Now.
This Holy Musk guitar is really nice too. I've pulled that up.
Yeah.
Um,
So unfortunately, I'm out of that one for now,
okay.
but
Okay.
hopefully soon I'll be able to
Okay. So
do that.
here's the Java Atar alternate take, Roman. There's what you're looking for. Make sure you got your website fixed.
I think so.
Yeah.
I
he
think
had a little glitch where like 0.5 was $25 and you could like bump it up to 3 grams and it would stay at $25. It's like, well, that's a deal. I'll just take more. um, so I have a question because I
yeah.
don't think I've tried the King Solomon's Atar. What's that? What's that one about?
Yeah, so that was a
Oh, that's the cinnamon, myrrh, sandalwood oud. Okay,
right. So it was almost directly out of like Hermetic writings.
that sounds amazing, actually.
Yeah, so again, I have had there have been many blends that I've done that have been directly inspired by something that's been done, a classic incense, or like I did a kaifi perfume and oil once before, and I mean, do I know what the hell kaifi incense smelled like in Egypt 3,000 years ago? No, I don't. Uh,
But you're an artist
so
and you've got a good imagination.
I'm not going to bullshit you and tell you that I do. So I, did, my due diligence and research, and then used some creative license in making that. And that's sort of what a lot of these blends, like that one you mentioned, the King Solomon's, is again based on a hermetic recipe that is in magical books, and I just sort of, it's my riff on that
That's cool.
with oud.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ken wants to know about the process to create an attar.
Yeah, so thanks, Ken, appreciate that. That's a good question. I don't, I tell people I don't create an attar in the traditional way, as it would be done in India, say, still done, in a deg, a clay, a big clay vat where there's sandalwood in there, and they're putting in jasmine flowers, and it's cooking under a very specific heat for a long time. I don't do that. So I say I almost even hesitate to take on the name Attar because of that, but I do because it's, for lack of a better term, that's the best
Sure.
description of what it is that I'm offering. And so, yeah, if it's an Attar, basically I start with sandalwood, and some other note, sandalwood and some other note, and then build on that. And I could have a complete idea of what I want to do. And sometimes I start with an idea and create something and it's just like I imagined it. That's pretty rare. I feel like more often than not, I might start with an idea and not necessarily really know where it's going and just sort of, follow the creative impulse, and it might be a blend that I start and it might sit there with two ingredients for a couple months.
Mm.
And it's just doing its thing and congealing, and then I might go back and smell it and see what happens from there. Like, I don't know. I'm not a musician, but it's just that's the only way that I can sort of conceive of, is if somebody were composing or or like learning about their instrument and playing and improvising, and maybe over a period of time developing some structure.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay.
And there were a couple other things that I had to mention. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about a lot. Oh yeah, the other thing that I wanted to mention, I know you said something of other gentleman that you mentioned. His name Sage.
His what?
Is his name Sage?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
is
Mark Sage. Yes. Yeah.
Mark Sage? Yeah. I don't know him at all. I'll have
Yeah.
to look him up though. But you said that he was self-taught, and I I think I heard it actually. Arnold Schwarzenegger was giving a talk, and he was talking about the idea of a self-made man,
Yeah.
and how people say, like, uh, he's sort of like the quintessential self-made man, the American dream,
Yeah.
and he just sort of says that's bullshit.
Right.
And I sort of see like a little bit of a parallel for myself in terms of perfuming. Like, am I self taught? In some ways, maybe you could say I'm self taught, but I can't say that I'm really truly, I would never refer to myself that way, because I've learned from a few perfumers and not in any formal way, but I've definitely learned from a few people, and one of them is I can say Mandy Aftel.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I mean, I've never taken a course with Mandy, but if I'm being honest, I would say I would consider her one of my teachers,
Okay.
just because I've read all of her books and I've definitely learned a lot about materials and history and different accords from Mandy. So shout out to Mandy. She is definitely somebody who I would consider to be a teacher.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's more like it's not so much self-taught as it is informally trained.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Anybody else? Let me check.
So yeah, anybody that did won the giveaways or whatever, just message me. And but yeah, I was thinking maybe we'll do one more giveaway.
Oh, one more giveaway for everybody who stuck around to the end. Let's do it.
Yeah, so I got the rose amber. I got a 15 mil the rose amber incense
Nice. My
to
favorite.
give away.
Okay, everybody. So you stuck around to the end, then you win. Well, at least you have a chance of winning. All right, we got 12 on TikTok. We got 6 still on YouTube. We got 18 people. Let's just do 1 to 100 this time, everybody. 1 to 100. Throw your numbers down. Who is going to win the Rose Amber Oud incense?
But yeah, somebody mentioned the bending time, and you said you like the bending time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, that was the concept comes directly from my father, who, as a percussionist, had the ability to bend time or
Mm.
bend our perception of
Mhm.
time through his expression on the drum kit. So that was then I don't know if the fragrance itself does that for anybody, but that's the idea behind that.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay. Here we go, everybody. We are going to spin. Spinning is happening. 1 to 100. One number only, please. One ping only. The number is 97. Somebody
Ken,
guessed 100.
Yeah,
Somebody guessed
Scooch did.
Scooch. Look at you. I saw
Nope. Thais wrote she had 97.
you. Thais, holy cow, girl. She got 99.
Or 99, rather. 99.
Did that girl win? Didn't she win another one that we did?
No.
No. Okay. Well, she deserves to win.
Yes.
Not that you don't, Scooch. Scooch,
I feel your trauma.
I when I saw you guess 100, my logic math brain kicked in, and I went, you want to leave room on both sides so that you can have a standard deviation gap. You should have guessed 95. That's all right.
Right. That is fine.
Wait.
Congratulations, Thais.
What did
She says she's dramatized. Scooch. That's okay. We do lots of giveaways. So Thais won. She
Oh, that's right. Because
99.
Scooch guessed 100. She beat him by 1. Yeah.
So Thais, I hope you didn't push order because she had one in the cart of
Oh.
this fragrance. So you get one for free. That's exciting.
That's amazing. I love when that works out.
Yes. Okay.
All right, we got her down. Nice job.
So yeah, and I just wanted to mention that I am really trying to, at this point, currently sort of get rid of all the spray perfumes for multiple reasons. Don't have the room to store them currently. Just there have been a lot of things that were, in process and over a period of time, and I simply don't have the storage is part of it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to probably for a period just focus on making the atars more than anything. However, I will say if anybody wants to explore the possibility of turning an attar into a spray because whatever reason, I can always entertain that possibility for a fee.
Mm-hmm.
Probably wouldn't cost that much. In most cases, it could be done, but some cases, some materials might not work, which is why I love the attar format because it enables me to work with the raw materials in a way that I otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
That was excellent. Thank you for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I could probably keep going, but it's fine. We're at 2 hours, so we can do it again.
We'll have to do it again for sure. So everybody remember sensbyskanda.com. Buy from there, not from Etsy. Especially because tomorrow you'll have the 20% off code Mr. and Mrs. Sniff available.
Yes.
Off of his, let me say, because you don't toot your horn, off of his already ridiculously good prices. Like, we were joking earlier, but I'm telling you, the same kind of materials and blends from better known and better marketed names, you're going to pay 5 to 10 times as much. So, dive in.
Yes, have
All I can
fun.
say. It's a lot of fun, as you
Yeah.
can see. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Justin,
did
thank you.
anybody? Yeah, thank you. Did anybody have any other questions while we're still here, or
No,
fire away?
we got them, and then of course people can message you
Everybody's
privately.
saying thank you. Chase is saying thank you.
Yes.
Tony's saying thank you. You guys are welcome. Thanks for hanging out, watching.
Yeah,
everybody.
thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Appreciate you tuning in, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for the questions and queries and just your time and attention.
Yeah, and Justin, let us know as new things pop up that you're going to be releasing. Anytime something new pops up, let us know, and we'll make sure that we get the word out.
Cool. Yeah, I will. And that's the other thing. I usually don't, just so people know, like, check Etsy, check the website, because I don't do big launches like a lot of people do.
Yeah,
I might just
shows up.
pop it up there.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, Justin, have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
it. And everybody else, have a good night.
Thank you, Jamie.
Love you.
Thank you, Noah.
You're welcome.
We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Good.
Yes.
All right. You guys have a good rest.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you,
Appreciate
too.
it.
Have a good weekend. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Take care.